welcome to SFLiberalBuzz. Tonight we have a lot to cover, election-wise, and both this November election as well as the election that just passed. This Amiano bill went down in the Assembly, so that's good because it would have been bad for our community. We went to a meeting about it today. And so we're going to get to the Twitter. The Texas GOP convention has moves to add medical marijuana to platform, so they must know that the tide's turning. Even the Republicans know. So medical cannabis working group was today. We attended. It's at noon every first and third Thursday of the month. Room 278. If you can attend, it's open to the public. Now,
at City Hall.
The Senate bill passes unanimously to regulate medical cannabis in California. So that is better than Amiano's bill, which would have the alcohol beverage control, which would have put thugs in control of our medicine.
It's called the Correa bill.
Yeah, well, no, that's the Amiano bill. The Correa bill is the Senate bill, which passed unanimously to regulate medical cannabis. Now it's going to have seed to sale regulations. The aim of the bill is to stop large warehouse growers from diverting medicine out of state. So that's one of the main aims of that. But then the federal government has things to say about it too. So we'll see what happens with the feds. Big Tobacco had high hopes for cannabis. So that was in the 70s. And they also tested cannabis to see if it was bad for you, and they found that it wasn't, but they suppressed the evidence. So I remember that.
70s, the age of Nixon, right?
Oh, yeah. And why did 287,000 plus Californians vote for Leland Yee? Well, probably, why would that many people vote for Leland Yee?
I was going to cover that, because that's on my Twitter feed as well.
Okay, let's do it. Let's let you cover that then. The election night was not good for Chu or Mayor Lee. That's an article that you can go to and read. Mayor Lee is the one who didn't want. He was in favor of Prop B and C, if you remember back in November. So he stayed out of this. He didn't really endorse any no on B, which we might have expected him to. Perhaps he's worried about 2015 election coming up, which might be another reason why he proposed some affordable housing, finally.
Finally, exactly what the city needs.
Yes.
Of course, it was part of the 10-year plan when Willie Brown was mayor, up until Gavin Newsom was mayor.
Yeah, well, back in the 50s, I'd say 80% of housing in San Francisco was affordable to the middle class, which used to exist. So, there's that.
Now more than 30% of someone's mean income is actually going towards their rent.
Yeah, people have to share apartments. Well, now, and here's Monsanto. They're suing Vermont over its decision to label GMO foods. So you can sign the petition there to protest that. The judge in Leland Yee case grants gag order to protect the reputations of public individuals. Now, can you tell me who those public individuals might be?
Well, since it's in quotations, I am just guessing that it could be currently elected officials or previously elected officials. And
then the last Axis of Love show, which is a pre-recorded show about civil rights, and well, the next two shows, and the last show was about the March Against Monsanto, so I made 3 shows out of that. And it's really interesting. You see them spraying clouds in the skies that kind of just hang there, lines in the skies, and they're even tested for barium, and barium is is used for imaging and has medical uses for imaging and taking pictures of the inside of the body and things like that. People drink it down, and then the UV resistant seeds and chemtrails, aluminum. They were talking about geoengineering and chemtrails, so that was interesting, and there's more too. So I urge you to watch that every Friday at 6 on Channel 29, Axis of Love show. So the California legislature was split on medical marijuana bills up until, like we said, Amiano's bill didn't go anywhere in the Assembly, but the Senate bill did. So, and the people supporting the Senate bill were or cops. I don't know. Cops and city managers. I've got it written down. City managers. Okay, here we go. The next tweet is San Francisco Ellis Act reform bill rejected by legislature, but it actually was picked up and adopted by the legislature later. So that's good. I didn't actually update the tweet, but I left it there so I could update it.
And in case anybody is following you, they can actually read onto it, correct?
Yes. Please follow me, Denise Dory, and I'll give you a follow back. Eric Holder reigns in DEA. Chief Michelle Leonhardt for undermining Obama's position on marijuana. So that's another article. So good. There's still a lot of cops and government officials that still want to really regulate it like cannabis is some kind of poison, you know, that makes people violent and who knows. But anyway, they don't realize that the copious growth of hemp could cool the earth. So I'll keep saying it. Facebook now has the ability to listen to your private conversations through its app. That's not okay. There's the articles right there on my Twitter feed. I don't have time to go through it, but it's kind of creepy. So put a tape over that camera on your computer and keep it there. There's a cannabis strain for everything that ails humans. Grow hemp to cool off the planet. Now, I was retweeted by John McCain. Senator John McCain actually retweeted one of my tweets about cannabis. The Denver.
If memory serves me correctly, Senator McCain used to know my father, and
Arizona. You're from Arizona.
Yeah, I'm from Arizona. Senator McCain used to know my father, and he used to tell me the stories about the times that him and John used to smoke marijuana, and it wasn't actually verified if it was true or not, but I know that John McCain, since becoming elected the U.S. Senator, he has actually supported medical cannabis sale.
Well, that's something we can agree on. I've been looking for something for years to agree with him on. There it is.
He does agree on medical cannabis.
Okay, well, I hope he could wake my parents up because they don't like it. They think I send them articles about it would help. My dad has glaucoma. My mother has some kind of skin cancer, and it could be helped, but they just they're not trying to hear it. Now, the Denver murder rate cut in half after after marijuana legalization is a coincidence.
That's kind of the same coincidence as since medical marijuana got legalized in California, the trafficking of quote-unquote illegal marijuana from Mexico has actually decreased.
So that would lower the murder rate, wouldn't it?
For the drug cartels, the federal government claims the drug cartels is responsible for the high murder rate, so
yes.
I'd say that's curbing it.
And now the GOP wants to get rid of the post office. They just want to do away with the post office and privatize it. So the fun fact about it, GOP is always talking about how they love the veterans and want to help the veterans, but the U.S. Postal Service employs 130,000 veterans and 49,000 disabled veterans. So I always hear my parents railing about how awful the Postal Service is, but it's like 50 cents to mail a letter clear across the country.
It actually costs more than 50 cents now.
Well, is it? Well,
yes, it costs about
well, you see how long it's
or
been since I
something.
mailed anything.
Mail? What's that? Oh, email, right?
Yeah, right, yeah. So, yeah, there's some gadgets and devices that I don't even recognize anymore, like that thing with two that you put here, I don't know, anyway. So, the FBI director, we can't find enough programmers because of zero tolerance pot rules. So the tides are changing in every aspect. Now, the last show was Spying Tactics and Remedies Part 2. So that was the show before the last one about Monsanto on Axis of Love. Now we're going to go to Eli's Twitter feed because he's shared some pretty interesting things. Give him a follow. ELIHUH.
2001.
Okay, so have at it.
So what we have here is Nation of Change is talking about how Barack Obama released the prisoner Bird Dog without Congress. So that means that prisoners who are currently in Guantanamo Bay can actually be released without congressional approval, which means Barack Obama can actually legally close Guantanamo Bay like he promised in his first round of election. Next tweet right here, if you happen to...
Well, the war's over. He brought people home, so when the war's over, all the hostages and prisoners go home.
That's true. San Francisco marked again for once limited housing developments, SFS, yes.
Oh, wow.
And I do follow George Takei because talking about the election, he came across a very funny guy named Richard, who actually used his name, Integrity for Congress, Dick Sweet, his nickname. George Takei's a funny man. I do put humor on my Twitter. This right here is a story. This right here is a story I'm going to show you about. E is for evidence. How Mayor Willie Brown, Gavin Newsom all tried to get their emails deleted from public records. Well, Mayor Elihu is doing the exact same thing now.
Ooh.
Yes, I thought people should know about this. He is trying to get rid of his emails, which is public records.
So everybody has to share everything we have except him.
Exactly.
And his friends.
Yes, exactly.
Because they have things to hide. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt if I shouldn't say this on the air, but I'm going to anyway. Maybe he's one of those public officials that they're worried about exposing, so they can't talk about.
And who's up? Well, that's what's up, Sergio Romo. Yes, of course. And I'm glad that Mayor Lee has decided to help City Colleges stay open.
Oh well, good.
Yes, I'm glad they needed accreditations. These students work hard.
It would help his campaign.
And time for a fun fact. Do you know that trademark Tiffany blue colors officially known as Pantone 1837? And coincidentally, Tiffany was co-founded in 1837. I love fun facts. This is actually the anniversary of the Tiananmen Square. This right here is raw footage.
Whoa.
And yes, there are gunfire sounds in the background. You can tell, you can hear gunfire when the tank man climbs to the top of the tank. You do not hear gunfire in the original airing of the video. This is raw footage.
It's been scrubbed from Chinese internet.
Yes, about 95% of Chinese do not even know about this image right here. And I have to say, rest in peace, Don Zimmerman. Great ball player. And old picture of Vladimir Putin. I thought people might actually find this hilarious here, since Vladimir Putin is known without having a shirt on all the time.
Shirtless guy.
Well, he actually has a shirt on. This is him right here. Vladimir Putin, young as a young kid, in his early 20s. Pretty funny. I thought it was funny. And of course, we got my Giants news right here. New Bleach Packer Bingo. And this right here I find very appalling.
Aww.
Another homeless murder. The person found on the Barker Mini platform was allegedly a homeless person.
Aww.
And so far, SFPD has no leads.
Oh.
That is very sad, because recently, last night, there was the homeless memorial in front of City Hall. And before we go to today's meeting, I just wanted to bring up one other thing right here. San Francisco has rich zip code. As you can see, 94105 South Beach, Yuba Buena. The average median income is $142,400. That is the highest in the city, is Soma, south of Market. This is according to the U.S. Census. I have a theory that one of the reasons this is actually, the income is going high, is because, well, all of the development of the high-income housing, all the high towers that are being built right now,
Yeah.
and the developers getting into the city, the so-called techies moving in. South of Market is one of the highest median incomes right now. Unfortunately, I cannot afford to live there, so.
Okay, so we're gonna roll this footage of Shona.
At the state level, things are about to change really abruptly. So we had two bills. We had one in the Assembly moving from the Assembly and one moving from the State Senate. So in the Assembly, we had Tom Amiano's bill, which was the same bill as AB 2312. The same bill as, it's the same thing he's introduced for the last couple of years that patient advocates have pretty universally rejected because it included hampering some of the SB 420 rights, which allows patients to collectively cultivate for each other. It invaded Prop 215. It put the alcohol beverage control as our lead oversee. And not only did the patient advocates have an issue with ABC being our oversee, ironically enough, law enforcement was also pointing out Why would you have such a corrupt agency? I'm glad that Tom Amiano's bill didn't make it out of the assembly. I don't think many people know that we're about to change everything. And when I say change everything, I mean if we have to, while it allows for Prop 215 and SB 420, there's a carve out, proving that you're a patient cultivating project and not letting things go out the side is going to be a difficult task for most growers, because what most growers do is they take their surplus to a dispensary for their overhead costs, they take care of the patients in their group, and then they go from there. But what this would require is that all of the growing facilities that are taken to the distribution centers be registered. So you can't take your overflow from your patient garden if you don't have a state license as a facility. And then
I can't sell my overflows.
Right. Which
Under
will,
Koreans.
right. Well, you can, as long as you're state registered. The good thing about the registry is that they put in a provision that prevents it from going above just the expenses of the registry. So Tom Amiano's bill would have made registry very expensive and would allow, monopoly through, whoever's got the wealthiest investors. Correa's bill is a lesser of two evils in the sense that inside of it, it has built in that you can't go above and beyond just the price of, hey, I got to call out, let's say, Inspector Martinelli to go over to your grow facility, make sure that it's wired correctly and that it's not going to blow up. I mean,
That's reasonable.
that's reasonable. It's not out of the realm of reason what they're doing. But where it gets tricky is teaching everybody in the community that if you're found violating, so in other words, let's say some guy has, blown out a warehouse, he's got no state registration, and he's trying to bring his medicine not only into the dispensaries or whatever, right? He's got no license. They're gonna, if they find that warehouse, $35,000 a day fine.
Who exactly is carrying around big old 10, 20-pound bulk of marijuana on them, or cannabis, as people call it?
Well, I consider a year's worth of cannabis as my stash, and that would be 3 pounds, or maybe 3 or 4 pounds is my stash, because you get one crop a year, and it has to last you an entire year. So
These
you smoke
people
2
still,
ounces
these
a
people
month.
still 50, 60, 70 pounds out of some of the grower houses and warehouses.
Right, and diverting it. So
Exactly.
there's the 8 points of caution for cannabis, and it's children, it's diversion to other states, it's driving under the influence, it's David Chu, who won the, sort of kind of unofficially
The
won the
District
election.
17 run for the state assembly, he actually kind of won, beat David Campos in the feeds.
So he created this medical cannabis working group, and of which you just saw an excerpt of from today. It was a meeting from today, and you can see the entire thing on YouTube at Access of Love TV. It's quite educational because the laws are about to change really fast on medical cannabis. The lobbyists and law enforcement lobbyists want this Senate bill, and so do the League of Cities. And so for a bill like that to pass unanimously is pretty powerful sign that it's probably going to stick this time.
And I want to inform everybody that if you want more information about this new proposed bill, there's going to be a fundraising town hall on June 14th at 1026 Mission Street at 1260 Mission Street.
1260.
Thank you. 1260 Mission Street at the Access of Love headquarters.
Well, all these things that are being,
Excuse me.
there's a lot of mudslinging going back and forth. Now there's a lot of things I've gotten in the mail from both sides,
Oh
and
yes, a whole stack of them.
we found out that
Whole stack of them.
that Conway, who was a Republican, was at this, was funding this hit piece on Campos about domestic violence, and, I think it was, funded by Conway, so I don't know if David Chu really approves of that. It just occurs to me that David Chu really wouldn't, I don't know, I think just people that want David Chu to win, not necessarily David Chu himself, would endorse that, because I think they should move away from that in domestic violence. I don't think it's gonna help him win any elections. I think we have about a minute left. I wanna urge you to buy a street sheet. The new issue is out. It comes out every fortnight, which is, every
4 weeks.
14 days, which is costs $1, and whoever sells it to you gets to keep the proceeds.
100% profits.
Yes, they keep 100% profits. Now, another announcement is John and Michael Nolte are both running for supervisor. John Nolte's running for supervisor District 8 against Scott Wiener. There's also 7 other candidates running against Scott Wiener as well, which is probably isn't good. Is good for Scott Wiener because it divides the progressive vote